Good evening, everyone. So this is Organon class time. We were discussing about the author's introduction to the Organon of Medicine, that is by Samuel Hahnemann. So far we completed up to 69th paragraph with their footnotes. And so far we were able to complete another way of treatment by the old school, that is alternative method of prescribing. Purpose was that to give certain medicines for a longer period which has a power to alter the whole economy of the organism, so that the chronic disease, which is for a long time already there, will go away. But then it did not happen, rather it has complicated the issue. Many examples were discussed, that is with the cinchona bark, with the valeriana, with digitalis, and all those. And he finally concluded in 69th para, it was a mode of treatment that did no good to the patients. So whatever was the method of treatment utilized, and various modes and various different prescriptions or procedures, nothing actually worked. Moreover, it caused severe aggravation of the original malady. Yet one more method is available with the old school as described by Master, that is giving the compound prescriptions, treating with compound medicines. When you say compound prescriptions, things will be more remembered in our homeopathic practice, when there are so many salutary numbers of homeopathic medicines are available. Even patients and come and say, sir, for this can I take R number so and so, B number so and so? The initial letter denoting to the pharmaceutical company, and the number denotes a mixture, a compound of the substance. And it is written that this number is for this condition, and this condition, if you have this number, you should take. So we remember it more. So if we see this paragraph 70, what we find? We find, he says, Hahnemann says, but all semblance of appropriate treatment of diseases was completely lost by practice. Introduced in the earliest time and even made into a rule. See, the whole paragraph, it's quite a long paragraph. I just give you some overview first about the different paragraphs, that would be better. These paragraph 70 to 73, it is describing us about the mixture of the prescriptions. We can say it as compound prescriptions, but as per the strict definitions of compound, I believe they should not be called as compound, and that is the reason in para 70, Hahnemann used only mixtures. So about the mixture prescriptions, we have 70, 71, 72, 73 paragraphs. See, These four paragraphs is discussing about this mixture prescriptions. Then coming to the next 74 to 77, it is a state of paradigm shift. When I say paradigm shift means the stage is set to set aside the methods of treatment prevailing because a new ray of hope in the name of homeopathy, with the experiences and experiments of homeopathy, is now rising. The new sun is rising. This is being explained, described in 74 to 77 paragraphs. Then, in the next 78 to 83 paragraphs, Henman is telling how he can make out in the old school practice, whatever kind of mixture prescriptions, evacuation prescriptions, derivative prescriptions, in that he could make out there are certain medicines, though in mixture, given to the patient, but in some cases they did a very good effect. It was only and only due to their homeopathic relation to the disease. So it is describing us the traces of homeopathic medication in the old school he could perceive. He described certain examples of it. Then in 84 to 88, he's saying in the folklore, in the folk medicine, Dadima ke nuske, in those non-medical people, those who were doing some kind of home medicines or some home prescriptions, that is called folklore medicine, he could again see the glimpse of homeopathy, what they were doing. It was indicating that whatever the actions they are taking, whatever the herb they are giving, it is homeopathic to the condition, hence it was working. And lastly, but not leastly, from 89 to 99 paragraphs, Hahnemann is describing about seven well-known physicians, those who saw, those who wrote, those who understood the law of similia, a curative law. So this is the whole track we are to go 70 paragraphs to 99, means some 29, 30 paragraphs we are still to go. But this is the whole track. Mixtures 70 to 73. Paradigm shift means allopathy to homeopathy 74 to 77. Traces of homeopathy in old school 78 to 83. Homeopathy in folk medicine 84 to 88. Homeopathy by glimpse of homeopathy seen by old school physicians 89 to 99. These are the basic track of the paragraphs we can understand. And now let us go one by one. We are first going to discuss these four paragraphs 70 to 73. What these paragraphs are saying. So in that, let us pick up quickly with number one, that is 70th of paragraph. So 70th paragraph, I just narrate you simply, then we will read it. In 70th paragraph, Hahnemann is talking that whatever they were doing out of their previous experiences, though patients did not improve, but whatever the magnification they have done, that patients are improving, they made a law, they made a rule that for any patient, whenever he comes, he should be prescribed the medicine in such a way that you need not to change the prescription once now this, second day this, third day this. Rather, you just made a mix of it. So when they decided and made a rule that became the law of the prescription now, that they will be giving a mixture of prescription. What this prescription was containing? It was containing five things. Achha, some net issues are going on. Everyone is noticing, or only one or two? Could you please write me? All of you are getting the buffering? Anyway, sometime this net suddenly goes and comes back. Maybe this is the reason. So I was telling that this mixture of prescription was mainly containing five things. What are those five things? The five things were, the first one was, if you can remember, they were telling to, for the purpose of evacuation, they have to understand the general character of the disease. So they, after understanding the general character of the disease, they used the first medicine in this mixture, named it as the basic medicine, the base of the prescription. And this is for the main general character of the disease. Then, because ultimately, whatever the medicine, basic medicine, what is it going to do? It is going to do the evacuations. So, because the patient is evacuating, he will feel weak. So, better give one medicine for strengthening. So, they added a medicine, a adjuvant for strengthening. Now, when they found that these are the two medicines and they might have some kind of interactive issues of the medicine, so added another medicine to stop any kind of adversities because of the mixture of these two medicines. They called it as a improvement medicine. Then this much was not enough, so they added what? They added uh, they finally did what? They ultimately took all the three and mixed them together. After mixing, they, now when you have taken some three medicines and mix them together, you need some solvent, you need some vehicle in which you can dissolve all these three and give it to the person. So this solvent, this vehicle, some liquid, it is nothing but some syrup, some medicinal water. Again, it is adding certain medicinal substances, but the purpose of this solvent, this medicinal water, was not to somehow influence any symptom of the disease. Rather, the purpose was to hold all these mixed medicines together and just take care that they should not spoil. Means they are as preservatives. The medicines in the solvent in the vehicle are working as the preservatives. But then ultimately, if you understand, and Hahnemann says it is nothing but another medicinally added thing which is in essential way going to influence the diseased, the ill person, the sick person. So you can understand that what kind of mixture it has become. Now what is happening when this mix is given to a patient, and after having this in a very large quantity several times in a day for several weeks or months together, it is doing nothing but then mixing with the disease in such a way that you cannot make out what is the medicinal disease and what is the actual disease. You cannot differentiate between the original malady and the medicinal artificial malady. And moreover, what was happening, that this mix of five things, if suppose patient coming after some 2 weeks not feeling good or feeling bad, what was done, a new mixture is created with some new herbs, that means with a new set of prescriptions. And with this new prescription, patient is fed up for another few weeks. Like this, there were two conditions. Either one mix patient is taking for several weeks and months, or a number of separate prescriptions of mixtures patient was utilizing in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, or in 1 year's time. You imagine what kind of mix of diseases was coming into the patient. Even a very learned physician cannot make any understanding out of this. This was the whole scenario done. Few of the important things to be read from this para. But all semblance of appropriate treatment of diseases, when you say semblance, means simulation. All semblance of appropriate treatment. It was not appropriate treatment, but it was the simulation of the appropriate treatment, not really the appropriate treatment. See the beauty of writing of Master Hahnemann. This is very enjoying thing about the style and the uh, writings of Dr. Hahnemann. But all semblance of appropriate treatment of diseases was completely lost by a practice introduced in earliest time and even made into a rule. Means now the old things now brought together, made the prescription rules, and that has been made a law. And what is there in the law? I mean, the mixture of a prescription of various medicinal substances whose real action was almost without an exception unknown, and which without any one exception invariably differed so much among each other. So the whole sentence, if you see, it is almost some three sentences. And these three sentences, you can see that one sentence, the first sentence what I read you, is telling you about what is this mixture of prescriptions, containing a mix of medicines uh, without having any kind of known unknown knowledge of the mixed substances. And in the second, they told what actually is the mix, how it is to be mixed, what is the method of mixture. As I told you, it contains five things. And in the third sentence, which is divided by one semicolon, he is telling what are the outcome, what are the effects of these prescriptions when used on the suffering humans. This is the whole paragraph, can be understood very easily, very simple way, without any one exception invariably differed in so much among each other. This is the first sentence over. Coming to the second sentence of 70th paragraph. On medicine, the sphere of whose medicinal effects was unknown, was placed foremost as the principal remedy, that is basis, as I told you, and was designed to subdue what the physician deemed the chief character of the disease. As I told you, it is going to evacuate things. So this is the whole sentence. He is telling you about all the mix which is being done, and what actually the purpose of each one. See, those days, Puja Pal is asking, sir, Hahnemann is saying about mixture of mother tincture or mixture of medicinal substances in other form. See, making a mother tincture and all are something work of Dr. Hahnemann. Those days, they were not exactly knowing what is this mother tincture. The old school was getting the substances together. Yes, it is all about the old school. Hahnemann is telling about all the work done by old school. They were taking the herb or the chemical together. That's it. And mixing them, and they were only seeing how it can be mixed in something and make some syrup. That's it. How means they will be taking them something, take some water, take some chemicals which can work as a preservative, boil them. You can always boil it. Earlier, see why this question of puja came here. It needs to be understood. I think if I tell you all these details, the whole para you will be able to understand in a better way. Hahnemann is talking something. Hahnemann is writing this in 1829. Mind it. What was the status of chemistry as a modern subject? That means the modern chemistry. What was the state of modern chemistry? Can you think? Go back in that. What was the state of modern chemistry in those days? Here, I would urge every one of you to Google the history of chemistry. The old name of chemistry was alchemy. If you go in the Stone Age, Paleolithic Age, there was also a kind of chemistry, though the name was not given like this. They were making some kind of weapons and all those kind of things. It was also a kind of chemistry. But as such, they were not knowing what are they doing. Even the ancient time, maybe in the Silver Age or those days, Bronze Age, people were knowing, especially the early civilizations like India and all, they were knowing how to make steel. So they were knowing about the gold and all those kind of things. But then things were not on paper, things were not properly structured, hence they could not call it as a uh, chemistry. Rather, there was a emergence of a subject to be called as alchemy. They were also talking about the transformation of the different metals and all. And those days people were knowing about metallurgy. You all read metallurgy, in the chemistry. So it is the Lauscher in the 18th century, means 1701, 1701 onward somewhere. Lauscher, who is the father of modern chemistry, came and he talked about all this. Chemistry, literal meaning of the word is casting. Means when you make something mix or do something with one particular substance and it gets transformed, casting. This is the name given as chemistry. And so many things were going on. You imagine, they were not even knowing those days the difference between the compound and the mixture. When you uh, when you do some chemical uh, combination of something in the laboratory and it creates some substance out of the periodic table, if you see basic elements are there. Out of basic elements, when oxygen and hydrogen mix in the presence of electricity, water is formed. So water is a compound and hydrogen and oxygen is a element. Both are elements. So, point to understand is the in a mixture, things remain separate. They don't transform. They don't influence each other. I mean, they will be influencing each other, but then in a mixture, things have not really changed. After you boil it, they might change. Whether they changed or not changed, even that was also not known clearly. They had just a erroneous idea. That is what the basic understanding of mixture. When you added medicine A plus B plus C plus D, these four medicines, they were now, though in a one mix, even after boil, might be some compound is created. But then they were not knowing this difference even. And finally, what is happening? They presumed that each A, B, C, D are having their effects separately and they are working on their target part as they assumed, as they thought. When they made some medicinal liquid to mix them together, they felt this is not going to act. So according to them, it is not acting. They felt the basis which is going to affect as an evacuation for the general character, it will do its job. This adjuvant will not going to affect in any way. This was the whole thought. It was because of the basic understanding of the chemistry, how something has become compound and something is still a mixture, whatever may be the mixture, but then this cannot be said when two chemical come together, they are not making any interaction, and because of the interaction, their influence, their effects in the living body, what is going to happen? Some of the influence will be uh, cast off by the influence of the other medicine. Some influences will be exalted, some will be halted. But nobody knows. The same is told about the mixture of our medicine in homeopathy nowadays. All this R number. What are they doing? They say we have mixed the medicine, four type of medicine for the flatulence or for the cough and all. XYZ, 3x, 6x medicines are there, and they will work accordingly. These are the erroneous idea existing in our system at the moment. Who are doing and why are doing, it's not a question. I'm saying it is there. The way it is now available in our system, that was the scenario those days, what Hahnemann is describing here. So, keeping that history behind about the chemistry, and you all know that Hahnemann was a well known chemist. He worked as a chemist, he worked as a uh, lexon maker. It's a list of the prescriptions of the old school. He worked at some place where he was a writer of these prescriptions to publish. So you can understand how exactly he was knowing about these prescriptions. So this is the whole thing he talked in this para. And I believe after the whole of the explanation of this para 70, that it is a mixture in a prescription which has got five kind of mix, boiling them, giving it to the patient. And then in the later part of the para, he's talking about what are the ill effects of all this. And they were so much so that it is doing nothing but depressing the strength of the suffering person who has been taking all this. So let us go further to the next para. the mixture of several medicines. Even if the effects of each single medicine on the human body were accurately known, the association in one prescription of several such ingredients, I repeat, many of which are themselves of a very compound nature, see, and the peculiar action of each one of which is one good as unknown, although in reality it always differs greatly from that of the others, and the administration of this incomprehensible mixture to the patient in large and frequently repeated doses in order therewith to obtain some purposed certain curative effect is a piece of folly repugnant to even reflecting an unprejudiced person. Yeah, this paragraph is really much more suitable to our kind of so-called compound prescriptions or mixtures or whatever the patents we call or the dabbapathy we call. He says even if you know whatever you are mixing, you know the each ingredient very well. What all this caused means you mixed bromia, you mixed kalika, you mixed nitric acid, you mixed mercury, mug dulcis. You made a mix of this. I'm just hypothetically saying this. So in this, how you are finding each one of the ingredient you know well. But he says the kalika itself is not a simple substance. It's is itself in a compound in its own way. Mug dulcis in itself is a compound. Means you are compounding, you are mixing the compound kind of substances. ऐसी चीजें आप आपस में मिला रहे हो जो ऑक्सीजन और हाइड्रोजन के जैसे नहीं है. Rather, the complex thing, the compounds are mixed with the compounds. How would you know how and what are they going to do with the patient? Definitely, any unprejudiced mind, anyone who is really a reflecting, thinking person, he cannot really accept to this repugnant thing, means something which is very, very bad, not acceptable kind of thing. It's a folly. It's a very big kind of crime you're doing. There's a big footnote he has given, very, very useful footnote to be learned. What? He's saying that every reflecting and unprejudiced person will feel repugnant. He will also feel nauseating doing such kind of activity. So, in this footnote, he's telling about one person named as Marcus Hertz. He was a physician of the old school, but then how he felt about this so-called compound or mixture prescriptions used in his own system of medicine. It is worthy reading, very nice one to read, a very good piece of enjoying Hahnemann. The absurdity of medicinal mixtures was perceived even by adherents of the old school of medicine, although they still continued to follow this slovenly plan. Slovenly plan means messy plan. They just continue with this slovenly, messy plan in their own practice, contrary to their convictions. Their conscience is telling something all wrong, but they continued with that mess because the profession is this. Thus, Marcus Hertz reveals the pricks of his conscience in the following words. Now he's quoting Now, here on onwards, the quote goes on, written by old school physician of those time, Marcus Hertz. When Hahnemann is quoting somebody and somebody writing an article and somebody is publishing him, we can easily understand he must be a very well known personality of those days. So, Marcus Hertz was maybe a very well known personality of the old school medicine those days, and he is writing, and Hahnemann has written the whole quote of his. The whole rest of the aphorism is nothing but the quote of this Dr. Marcus Hertz, published in Hofringen. Important points I will read. He's giving you the ideas when this disease occurs, we are giving these medicines. When this kind of condition, he's writing the general character of the disease and telling certain medicines that this general character, these are the known medicines in our prescription books. But we are not giving one of them, rather we are giving all of them. This is what he's saying here. When we wish to remove the inflammatory state, the first thing, inflammatory state, we do not employ either nitrate or sal ammoniac or vegetable acids alone, but we usually mix several and often but too many so-called antiphlogistics together, or give them in the same case in close succession. One example over. If we have to combat putridity, putridity is a kind of condition when there is a kind of septicemia. We are not content to look for the attainment of our object from the administration of large doses of one of the known antiseptic medicines, such as cinchona bark, mineral acids, arnica, serpentina, etc. alone. We prefer associating several of them together and count upon their community of action, means action together. We count on that. One more example. Or from our uncertainty as to whose action is most suitable for the case is in question. Why? Means why we are doing, no, not example, how and why we are doing all this? Because we are not certain whether A or B, which is going to work. Maybe because of this we are doing this. Uncertainty. We do not know this pain abdomen, which medicine is going to relieve this pain abdomen. So let me give him strepsagria mixed with colocynth, mixed with bryonia, mixed with aconite, mixed with belladonna. Because I'm not sure. As to whose action is the most suitable for the case in question, we throw together a number of different substances and almost leave it to the chance to effect an end we have in view by means of one of them. Maybe belladonna or colocynth, either one will work. Let me give all. And we sometimes say, I am the beginner. How do I know so easily how to individualize, how to diagnose only belladonna or only pulsatilla or only bryonia or only nitrix? I'm a beginner. And somehow I'm to just influence the patient that he became all right with homeopathy. So, making somebody all right, you need to give certain medicines. Then it became a rule. Now it is called modern homeopathy. So, this is it. We prefer associating several of them. We read this. So, thus, we seldom excite perspiration, purify the blood, overcome obstructions, promote expectorations, or even evacuate the primary. by a single remedy. Our prescriptions for these objects are always composite, almost never simple and pure. Consequently, neither are our observations in reference to the actions of each individual substance contained in them. So, he is narrating everything how we were doing, what we read in 70th paragraph about the different prescriptions. He's telling all this, and then he says, but this classification is evidently almost entirely arbitrary. What is that classification? That give one basic medicine for the general character, one as an adjuvant for strengthen, one for this, one for that. He says this classification is nothing but an arbitrary one. It has no logic even. It is such an arbitrary one. Forget experience, it is not even a logic. The helpers and supporters have just as much part in the whole action of the chief ingredient. He further goes and says, this Dr. Hertz, that you even do not know what medicine in what quantity is doing to do what. He's explaining in the whole thing here. Then, worthy reading I am going to read, and we can never obtain from its action a pure experience of individual efficacy of any single ingredient of which it is composed. In fact, our knowledge of what is essential to be known respecting all our remedies, as also respecting the perhaps hundredfold relationships among each other into which they enter when combined, is far too little to be relied upon to enable us to tell with certainty the degree and the extent of the action of the substance, seemingly ever so unimportant when introduced into human body in combination with other substances. As if Hanuman is writing, not that some old school physician writing. When you mix, how much you mixed, what each content is doing, how their interaction is going to influence everything, he is talking all this. But you will be surprised to know that all these objections of the Hahnemann and the physicians of the old school made a great improvement regarding the pharmacology of the allopathy existing, means I'm talking present time. If you read the modern pharmacology, you will be surprised. You see, when somebody has to go to the medical college, he must be having a very good knowledge of biochemistry, or rather, I should say, organic chemistry. Why? Because now they know when they mix something, they work out the exact chemical, exact compound, and they developed out of the uh, rule of nomenclature of organic chemistry, which chemical is to be named what and how. How will you name a organic compound? And accordingly, their salts are known as. They called our medicines are salt. And in each salt, they have some medicines. They know exactly the quantity. They know exactly what is this compound now. They know exactly that how to name it, and they know exactly how to mix it in some unmedicinal substance as a solvent, as a vehicle to be given to the patient, but not in everything. Like, for example, if they are giving vaccinations, the solvent of the vaccinations, the vehicle of the vaccinations, because they need preservative, so again, they are again some medicinal substance only. They have their own side effects. But ultimately, whatever the scenario written here by Hahnemann, in today's time, it is more pertaining to us as a homeopathic doctor than very less to the allopathy now. And this is a irony of the situation, that what Hahnemann is saying is really surprising that one day it will befall on us. I think Hahnemann never thought that one day these paragraphs are going to point us homeopathic doctors. Because his objections and such objections as by Hahnemann and by other old school, the allopathy has moved out of it. I'm not saying they are doing very good. I'm saying definitely they are not this bad as they were. But we were never that bad, and now we are. That's a scenario. That's a folly. That's a irony. So going further, the result naturally belies every expectation that had been formed. There certainly ensue changes and results, but none of an appropriate character, none beneficial, long dash, all injurious, destructive, semicolon, exclamation. So he says the result naturally belies. What happens? Naturally, the whatever the results, it just put everything down. Belies means putting something down. What down? All the expectations. All the patients were going to the doctor with the expectation that I will be treated by the physician and everything will be all right. This was the expectation. Going to him, getting such medications as described by Hahnemann in these paragraphs, every expectation bellies down. It just turn it down. And what is the outcome? Only the injury and the destruction, nothing else. This is what he's saying. So I should like to see anyone who would call this pure blind inroads of such prescriptions on the diseased human body a cure. Hahnemann says, I want to see somebody who can call this as a cure. I want to see a person who can call this blind work as a cure. When you say pure blind, it means you can just divide it and say pure blind. The meaning of this made one word is perverted vision. The perverted vision of the old school of the treatment, whatever they are doing, can anyone call it a cure? Hahnemann is raising one very, very exclamatory kind of thing here. He is not questioning it now. He says it is no more a question. It is very much clear that all these kind of activities, what they were doing with their perverted vision, we can just see in this prescription of compound or the mixture, it is causing the harm, and who can call it a cure? So here, these four paragraphs we are able to finish with the another, or you can say the last method of treatment what old school was doing. So far what we discussed about the mixture of the medicines, if any one of you really finding some question, some kind of understanding, please write me so that we can answer those things. And in the meanwhile, let us go further. What are these next certain more paragraphs are going to talk? They are going to talk about that how the stage is getting ready to welcome homeopathy. It is nothing but then a paradigm shift. When I say paradigm shift, when that means when a complete whole thinking changes, the whole scenario changes, whole way of doing and think changes. This is what Hahnemann is saying in the next summary 4 paragraphs, maybe 74 to 77, maybe 4 paragraphs. It is only guiding what still remains of the vital force, vital principle in the patient to the proper performance of its functions by means of suitable medicine that a cure can be expected, but not by innovating the body to death. Secundum artem. He says, now this such an ill patient, he is remaining with some vital principle, means some vital energy he is remaining with. He needs certain medicine. That medicine, what that medicine is going to do, this medicine is going to direct, to help this remaining vital towards the helping, towards the improvement of this patient, towards the improvement of functions of the body. And not all this what is being done, and all of them he named as, whatever the way of treatment we discussed, all of them he named as secundum artem, a kind of cunning art. That means a kind of cunning art. And yet the old school knows not what else to do with patients suffering from chronic disease than to attack the sufferers with drugs that do nothing but torture them. Still, these old school physicians really did not know. They were only giving the torturous medicines. And these why these are torturous medicines? Because they waste their strength and fluids and shorten their lives. Can it be said to save while it destroys? Can you call those medical treatment as savior when it is destroying? Does it deserve any other name than that of mischievous non-healing art? Should I not call it as a non-healing art, the mischievous art? It acts lege artis in the most inappropriate manner. It act lege artis means something of a very, very sophisticated art. They act as a sophisticated artist in the most appropriate manner, and it does, that is to say, the very opposite of what I should do. So what are they doing? They are doing all the opposite they should do. With what kind of medicine? You understand. Why should I not call it as allopathy? Here some words are written which are not really English. They are the Greek word. If you see, if you can learn reading it. The first letter is alpha. We understand, na? Alpha, beta, gamma, lambda, like this. So you can just take out this Greek letters, Greek ABCD, and when you say alpha, take A of alpha. Lambda is from L, so take L. So ALL, allopathy. He says alloy means, the word meaning is allopathy. That is to say, the very opposite what it should do. Can it be commanded? Can it be any longer tolerated? Who can command it and who can tolerate it? So enough is enough. This is what Hahnemann is saying here in this para. Then going next, in recent times, the old school practitioners have quite surpassed themselves in their cruelty. They have surpassed the limit of the cruelty towards the sick fellow creatures, towards the sick humanity, and in the unsuitableness of their operations, as every unprejudiced observer must admit, and as every physician of their own school have been forced by the pricks of their conscience. He named another two, Kruger and Hansen, to confess before the world. He gave one example in that footnote. And he says, enough is enough. You made enough injury. You are not doing except the quality with the patients. So don't do all this. And people of your school now are also saying, because of the consciousness in them, which is pricking them, that whatever we are doing is just a killing of the patient, nothing else. It's a murderous science. This is what he was saying. Going to the next, it was high time for the wise and benevolent creator and preserver for mankind to put a stop to these abominations, to command a cessation of these tortures, and to reveal a healing art, the very opposite of all this, which should not waste the vital juices and powers by emetics, perennial scorchings out of the bowel, warm baths, diaphoretics, or salivation, nor shed the life's blood, nor torment and weaken with painful appliances, nor in place of curing patients, put a comma here, suffering from diseases, render them incurable by addition of new chronic medicinal maladies by means of prolonged use of wrong powerful medicines of unknown properties. Let us hold it here. Just see the first line. It was high time for the wise and benevolent creator and preserver of mankind. Who is this creator and preserver? He is using creator with capital C and preserver with capital P. So he is indicating towards the Almighty, the God, or whatever name you call it, the whole power of this universe. He is now saying a request. He is praying that stop this kind of science in which what is happening, so much of abominations, means so much of disgusting kind of activities are happening. What are those disgusting activities? He wrote all those disgusting activities as, he says, cease, stop this torturous art of healing which was doing opposite. What is that opposite? What is that disgusting thing happening? It was, and do something, get us, he's praying to the God that stop this disgusting activities, stop this opposite killing torturous activities, and give us something, give us some art of healing, give us a true art of healing in which patients are not going to waste their vital juices and power by emetics. See, now you read, you will understand. It is a prayer. This paragraph is a prayer in which he is telling nothing to happen like this. Does not happen this, nor this, nor this, nor this, nor this. No such of emetics, no such perennial scorings of the bowels. Means all the time they were giving the medicines for clearing the bowel, that is diarrheal medicines. No such warm baths required, no such salivation or diaphoretic, means so much of sweating medicines required, nor shed the life's blood, no such bloodletting required, nor torment and weaken with painful appliances, no such instrumentation of, you are to bloodlet, you will be using some lancet. So no such painful appliances required, nor in place of curing patients suffering from disease, render them incurable, and ultimately because of these things are not going to happen, patient will not be anymore going to be incurable. That means what? Nor yoke the horse behind the cart. Have you seen the this horse cart? Where should be the horse? Should be in the front, and the cart should be on the back. So what are they doing? Yoke is something which ties the horse with the cart. So that particular gadget which they wear the horse, what are they doing? They are putting with that and keeping the horse behind the cart. How this vehicle will go? So, nor yoke the horse behind the cart by giving strong palliatives. According to the old favorite axiom, first time he is going to say in the whole of some 76 paragraph that contraria contraris curanter. That this maximum they were using, that contraria is curing the contraria, means opposite is curing the opposite. Nor, in short, in place of lending the patient aid to guide him in the way to death, and hence, because they are using this, they are leading the patient to the death. That should also stop. All this nor is the prayer to the God that all these tortures up to the death happening to the suffering humanity, he's praying to the Lord that may stop this and give us a better art, as is done by the merciless routine practitioners, but which, on the contrary, should spare the patient's strength as much as possible and should rapidly. Now, what it should be? He's praying to the God what it should be. It should be such kind of art which is going to spare patient strength as much as possible. When somebody is ill, already strength is very weak. That should not ruin further. Rather, you should be able to spare it, save it as much as possible, and should be rapidly and mildly. The recovery should be rapid and the mild. Now you can appreciate how Hahnemann came to aphorism to effect an unalloyed and permanent cure. Permanent does not mean that I will not die. Permanent simple meaning here is that when a medicine is given, I become all right. I should become all right, then means I should remain all right. The time period is decided. Here, the permanent is a meaning that after the medication, my weakness is still there. I'm every day after eating going for a diarrhea. It should not be. In that way, the word permanent. And restored to health by means of smallest doses of few simple medicines, carefully selected according to their proved effects. I should be given a very simple known medicines by the only therapeutic law conformable to the nature. What is that law? Similia similibus curantur. He announced here in the whole of the introduction, he announced his law, similia similibus curantur. It was high time that he should permit. Who is he here? He is the benevolent creator and preserver, that is Lord the Almighty. He should permit the discovery of homeopathy. Look at the man. What he said he did, he's not saying that I have discovered, I have known this, I am doing this, it is my original work. He says that everything under the sun is old. He's saying that it is none other than the Almighty which is going to give us, going to bless us with such kind of art. That is a prayer, the true prayer. We can really feel that when Hahnemann was writing this, we can understand 1790 to 1829, maybe some 30 years time. This 30 years time was such a tapasya of this man, Master Hahnemann. Even then, he is not in any way egoistic, boasting person and not saying that it is my discovery. He says it is the high time that he should permit the discovery of homeopathy. So he is delivering and praying to the God that one very, very benevolent, very, very helping science is going to deliver. So he is praying to the God that make a very, very sweet and straight delivery without any kind of perversions in that. So the whole thing he was talking here in this a kind of prayer, an announcement of the two laws of theirs, contraria contraris currentur, and his, which has been blessed by the God, similia similibus currentur. So this is what he told by observation, reflection, and experience. I discovered that contrary to the old allopathic method, the true, the proper, the best mode of treatment is contained in the maxim to cure mildly, rapidly, certainly, and permanently, chose in every case of disease a medicine which can itself produce an affection similar to that sought to be cured. He explained the law similia similibus curantur. So he is able to come, brought us up to the point he was able to uh, discover similia as a law, and he's describing it. So this is what Hanmin was talking at length about the methods of allopathy, told them in length how they are torturous, murderous, and he told that what kind of science it should be, and he said I am able to discover it with my experiment and experience, and it should be this should be the maximum, this should be the universal law, that anybody coming sick, what anybody suffering, what he wants, that I should be all right as early as possible. I should be all right without any kind of side effects, hardly any side effects, and I should remain all right. Then what medicine, what kind of medicine can do this? A medicine which is well known. It is very simple example, you can say. Suppose you want somebody to deposit some amount of money, say 10,000 rupees in your bank. Whom will you give it? Are you going to give this 10,000 rupees to any passerby on the road? Look, mister, I don't know you, but then take this 10,000 and this is my account detail, deposit in bank account. What do you feel? You will never give this. But suppose if somebody working in your office, some of your elder brother or mother or wife or somebody, your son going to the bank, you will hand over this, please deposit it, and you are well assured that it will be deposited. So you can't even trust somebody for just this petty money. How can you entrust a job of cure to a medicine which is not known to you? This is the question. So that is why Hanmin says known medicines. How to know? By proving them on healthy human beings. So this is what we are to keep in mind, and we will be going further tomorrow about the examples and the traces of homeopathy in the old school methods. Whatever wrong they were doing, even out of the wrong, Henman could find out something very positive, something very good to be called as a homeopathic prescription, unconscious kind of homeopathy. And then we will be discussing about the examples of homeopathy in folk, in non-medical people, in common people. And we will be having some 7 examples of the well-known physicians of that era, those who got the glimpse of the law of similia. That will be ending with the so-called most difficult portion of Organon of medicine. And I'm really happy that in this voyage of Organon, we we are all together going and knowing the real understanding what Hahnemann actually want to make us. And we are astonished to see that some of these paragraphs are really pointing us more than them. So this whole introduction is not waste now. It is somehow maybe pointing us more. But then this pointer, maybe I wish, going to improve us a lot. We should not be doing such activities because it is such a murderous kind of thing. So this is it for today. Let me see some examples, some questions, some comments are here. So just let me just have a clean of that. Something good I will be telling you. So this puja, we discussed already this. Then Sarvesh is talking about this. You're right. This is the example. This is the name, exact name. Thank you for writing it here. And Anvesh is saying something, how some circumstances in allopathy is good and how homeopathy is bad now in today, sir. Uh, is it that they know what the use as medicine now, and is it that we use mixture of medicine now or any other? See, I'm not saying that in some circumstances allopathy is good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying their maxim is the same, that they are only talking to remove the materialistic cause of the disease. Hence, their ways and means, whatever they were using earlier, they became little more sophisticated in that. Like for example, for they are not now for so much of evacuation and all. They are not going to give some mixture of the medicines which are unknown. They know about each of their medicines very well. They are now looking towards the some very subtle thing to be removed. So I'm not saying that allopathy is good, but then I'm saying whatever their ways, they have improved their working and knowledge so much. Only reason, such kind of objections. It was not only Hahnemann. Hahnemann pointed out so many names here. They were all old school physicians, and they were also pointing out. And here Hahnemann wrote few, but definitely there will be so many led to this kind of improvement in the allopathy. This was my idea to say that allopathy improved in their pharmacology. And very sorry to say that after having this kind of text with us, since we are not reading it seriously, what happened? We are now doing what old school people were doing and feeling that mixing Brinia, Rustox, Kalika, and nitric acid together, the Kalika will help this area and Brinia will this area and nitric acid for this area. That is what the ideology behind mixing and making a patent in homeopathy. Reason, because we want to make it simplify. What is simplify? It cannot be. The job of the doctor is for the very high-ended intelligent people. It is not a job for every Tom, Dick, and Hardy, first of all. So if I want to find out something very simple, some method of treatment, and where my job and my thought is earning money, I feel my view is that better do some better kind of business or job. You can earn better and you can keep your conscience very clear. But suppose if you are a doctor, and especially a homeopathic doctor, then this text, as it is telling you, and we will be going further in the aphorisms, we must learn them. We are, we will be very easy to practice it. See, mixing 2 3 medicines is very messy. I never learnt. I'm still learning how to prescribe one medicine. I could not learn prescribe two medicines together. And these patents are putting some 5, 10 medicines together. It is beyond my understanding. I must tell you that I went in my very early days, I went to certain doctors, those who were doing all this. I thought such a queue they have, came back very disappointed. Then I decided to be with the book, better people, better be in their feet and learn. So I'm still not really easy also. But then why it is not easy? Because we are not making that temperament. See, for example, have you ever thought that this way we will be studying Organon? Even I never thought in last some 20 years I'm teaching. I never thought one day I will be teaching Organon like this. And none of you felt. Somehow we made a mind. We all made a. So all my understanding is that make a mind, do it, and easy. And homeopathy is a very easy, simple, natural make that mood and mind. Intending to say uh, to almost able to complete out of this of. So we should be keeping this in mind. Those who are really interested for their MD entrance exam, last MD entrance exam, the question came out of the very in the past. So we remember these 7 names. If you are a student aspiring for, so whatever we are discussing, how to get a conviction towards the homeopathy as told by Dr. Henman, and how can we really be fixed into it, how we can really make a mood towards this, and exam also, and all that means it is going to be very understanding kind of thing for everyone, whatever is your objective, whatever is your aspiration. So for today, let us sign off. I wish that every one of you must be reading the whole paragraphs again and again to really understand things. And I try to make it till questions. Whenever you can, you write me. We made a WhatsApp group. You can join that. You can write your questions there. You can write questions on this live chat, or you can write your questions in the comment section. We meet tomorrow 5 p.m. Thank you very much, everyone. Take good care of every one of you, all your patients, family in this time. It's very important. Thank you.